What is going on, Skol family? I'm Kyle.
I'm Darin.
I'm TJ.
And this is the Purple Dopes with Hopes podcast. Hello, Purple Dopers, and welcome into the Purple Dopes with Hopes podcast. We are part of the Let's Skol network. Every single week, my good friend Darin and I sit down and talk about that team that lifts up our spirits and eventually crushes our souls, the Minnesota Vikings. So if you're finding us on YouTube, please make sure you hit us with a subscribe. Also, drop a little Skol in the comments. We always like to get the little Skol chant going. And then if you're finding us on the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon, please make sure follow and then rate and review. Darin, 10 or still 5.0, dude.
Let's go.
We can't be beat. Still a 5.0.
Love it.
But let's get on to the real highlight of our Purple Dopes episode. As you know, we are starting our straight Skol talk, where we are bringing in different Vikings content creators and content creators in general and talking about our favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings. So this episode, we are bringing in a father, a content creator, a comedian, and an amazing observationalist of the birth order, and also a huge Minnesota Vikings fan, Mr. TJ Therrien. How are you doing, dude?
Hello, Kyle. Hello, Darin. I'm doing great. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great because the pressure is off. It's January. We've gone through the change cycle. We have accepted the fact that we didn't do anything this year.
Yes.
And last night, we watched the Green Bay Packers just completely melt down.
Don't you feel so bad for them?
I felt so bad that 5 minutes after the game, I stationed myself in front of a mirror and I worked on my Skol chant in preparation for next year. So excited.
Let's go. Yes, exactly.
Thanks for having me on. You guys have a great show. 5 stars. Definitely, you've earned it. Let's get some more of those. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It's like a Minnesota sports fan duty, especially this time of year, to just console each other a little bit and reflect, get nostalgic.
Yes.
Just talk some Vikes. So thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, TJ, they can find you on TikTok, Instagram, as well as YouTube, right? Do you do any other socials? I mean, I know you're kind of...
I do. Kyle, you missed one, but this one's more for the baby boomers, and that is Facebook.
Oh, Facebook. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You can't forget about that.
I'm sorry, man. I'm a middle school teacher. Facebook does not really jump on the radar too often for me.
No, not at all. It's usually the way that I see it is because I do family friendly comedy sketches about
Absolutely.
Your oldest, your middle, and your youngest. And usually the moms are the ones who are on Instagram or maybe TikTok. And so they might see me there. Their kids might see me on YouTube, maybe TikTok. But then it's usually the grandparents that are like, I saw you on Facebook, you silly guy.
You're that guy from the Facebook.
You're that,
I know you.
The Facebook. Yeah, the Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't say this. I promise my boys, they're big fans. I got 3 sons, man, and they follow along your birth order videos to a T. So they wanted me to tell you hello. So they are big fans, the Dub Boys. So yeah.
Well, big hello to them and any fellow middle children out there who love to not play life by the rules. That's us.
Well, we will chat a little bit more about this, the birth order of our Minnesota Vikings fans. But let's start with you, man. Like, it's always fun when we bring guests on to kind of get a little feel for how they became fans of this football team, the Minnesota Vikings. So when did your fandom start? How did it start? How did you start rooting on the Vikings?
That's a great question. I think the context for me as a Minnesota sports fan is I grew up a diehard baseball guy. So I was all Minnesota Twins. You see, I got these baseballs behind me. Yeah. And I think it's because I was born a few years before they won the 87 World Series. And then back in those days, my mom had the audacity to record Game 7 of 87 on a VHS. And when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I sat and rewatched Game 7 over and over and over. So I had the Minnesota Twins in my blood. I had championship in my blood. And then I think it was like Sundays after church, after, we'd get our cinnamon roll and then we'd head home and the Vikes would be on. My dad would fall asleep in the recliner and he would do the thing that his dad did where he would turn the TV volume down and turn on the local Vikings radio guy, but we'd be watching the game on TV. because we like our local guys better. Unfortunately,
sure,
the timing was like all off.
Yep.
Didn't work, but we felt good about it. But and then he would doze off, and I would turn the TV up a little bit so I could actually hear what was going on. But I think those were like the Herschel Walker days. I had a Herschel Walker jersey.
Okay.
But I would say I didn't become like a real Vikings fan until the Twins in the mid 90s really started to decline, and the Vikings started to get a little bit exciting. In fact, the Chris Carter, he was my favorite player growing up. Just watching, I mean, it was as if he had duct tape for hands.
Yep.
The acrobatic catches, the sideline grabs. It was it was like poetry. Can I say that? It was like poetry.
It was. We can say that now.
Now we can say that, yeah.
That'd have got you beat up when you were, in elementary school saying a guy was poetry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be like wearing a sweater with a bird on it. Like Kevin McAllister, get you beat up. But yeah, so yeah, the 90s is when I would say the mid 90s, and then obviously we'll get to it. But when things got really exciting in the late 90s is when I really, really became a Vikings fan officially. Yeah. But yeah, the 90s is when it began.
Yeah, well, Darin, he's a fellow Minnesotan. So Darin grew up in Minnesota, the homeland.
You got that same tie I feel like on the Twins, man. Those are the only championships we know. So at least we can still point back to those. But yeah, they really kind of started to hit bottom in the 90s. And I hear you, the Vikings were so fun. Really, they made the playoffs every year, it felt like. And then that Randy Moss year, that rookie year was straight out.
That was it. I mean, I grew up going to the Metrodome a lot, but again, most of it was for baseball. And I think I ended up getting to a Vikings Buccaneers game in like 95. Yeah. And that was my first Vikings game ever. My grandpa took me, and it was back when the Buccaneers wore that beautiful orange.
Oh, peach.
The creamsicles. Yeah.
Yes.
The peach. Yes. The creamsicles. And I want to say Trent Dilfer might've been heading up their offense.
Sounds right.
I don't know who would have been our QB. Would have Warren Moon maybe?
May have been Moon in 95. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was my first time getting oriented to the Metrodome, with the football field. But yeah, the real emotional investment came 98. I mean,
that was a heavy tax to pay that year.
Exactly. But
I grew up over in Washington State, TJ, and so like my dad was from Minnesota, and so he's my tie to the Vikings, being from Washington State. But when I was in 4th grade, he bought me my first team jacket, which was a Minnesota Vikings jacket, of course, But at that time, mid 90s, the Vikings were not, as cool to wear, but they got really good. And so all of a sudden my Minnesota Vikings jacket became very, very cool. So a lot of my credit goes to my dad for buying me that jacket. And then, of course, that 98 team for making us get all our hopes up, which, of course, is the with hopes that we always carry forever now as Vikings fans. We always tie it back to that.
It's become, in some ways, it became a bar. It became what I thought at the time was that was the new bar. That was the new foundation. That was the floor. By the way, are you talking like a starter jacket?
Well, it was a logo athletic, but it was in the starter jacket era. I didn't get the starter Vikings jacket. It was a logo athletic, which was kind of like the Walmart to the Target. So, but it was still I still rocked it every single day with pride. So might as well have been a starter jacket.
For sure, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
it was a zip up. It wasn't the pullover. So that's the difference.
Yeah. Gotcha. And you don't have it anymore, do you?
I do not have it. I have pictures, but I do not have the actual jacket. So
that's the funny thing too. I'll look back at like old stuff that like my grandpa had or I had, and I was like, man, I wish I never would have got rid of like an old retro Timberwolves or Vikings or
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's move into now, as you're a Vikings fan, you're all in. Like, what do you feel like is your best Vikings story that you have to tell? If someone was asked you, what's the coolest thing about being a Vikings fan for you? What would you say is your best moment in your Vikings fandom?
Oh man. Well, there are years that really stick out, and it's those years that we could have made it to the Super Bowl. So those are the years that really stick out to me. And I could get into, I'd love to talk any of those years, but one of the coolest kind of unique stories that I have, and I always forget this part of my life, but when I was in college, Monday Night Football was being taken over by ESPN. So this was like, I don't know, 13 or 14 years ago, maybe. And the very first ESPN Monday Night Football game was going to be a preseason game at the Metrodome. And it was the Raiders Vikings, and it was Randy Moss's first return back to Minnesota.
Okay.
I believe somebody's got to fact check me there, but that's the story I'm running. I'm pretty sure about that. Anyway, ESPN, when they come to town, they have their crew that travels with them, but then they also hire a ton of local, mostly younger people to do like the grunt work, carrying things into the stadium, running cables. And for some reason, this production company that worked with ESPN reached out to the college I was going to, the media department, and a bunch of us ended up getting recruited to go work. It was like 4 days leading up to Monday Night Football. Nice. And it was so great. Like, I'm like, man, I'm like working a Vikings game. Like, this is going to be so awesome. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I ended up for the game. So on the field, you have a handheld camera guy. You've got several of them running around up and down the sideline.
Right.
But they all have, at least back then, they had a long cable attached to their camera. And so as, there are a million people on the sidelines, as they're running up and down from end zone to end zone, they need their cable like kind of weaved through and cleared methodically so they're not tripping people up and down. So they put 4 of us, like 20 somethings, as like the cable management guys. And I think I got to be right behind the camera guy. His name was Steve Angel, legendary handheld NFL camera guy. He was like a big dude. I thought he was an offensive lineman when he first came out, but he's like, no, I'm just doing camera. But yeah, it was so exciting. Like Randy Moss comes out of the tunnel and me and the camera guy and I'm just holding this cable, like kind of like sneaking peeks as a super fan, I was trying to play it cool. That was a really fun, unique experience. Is like a fan meets somehow ended up like working a Vikings game.
Yeah.
In that way.
That's really cool.
Super fun experience. But yeah, so many memories though. And the emotional toll of the Vikes that they've taken us on from 98 until now. I'd have to say one of the other big, like exciting years for me was the Favre year, the first Favre year.
Absolutely.
I mean, we talking, is that 09?
09. Yep.
Okay. I always get confused with the 09 to 10 to 11, whatever. But
yes.
That was an exciting time. I didn't know how did you guys feel looking back? Because you hate the Packers and you hate Brett Favre. You're raised to feel these things as a Vikings fan. But then all of a sudden the opportunity comes to like, wow, we could actually have him. And how did that feel to you guys at the time?
Oh, man, I was instantaneously on board. Mainly because thinking about not only having him winning games, but sticking it to the Packers with their own guy was like, how do you beat that?
I think
fell short of the Super Bowl.
I think in the end, like, you knew how good Brett Favre was because he murdered us every single year as a Packer. So getting him in purple to me was like, this is our revenge. Like, this is our chance to do the ultimate. This is like, your enemy breaks up with his girlfriend and then you take his girlfriend. It's like, this is our moment to like stick it in their face. So, I can't say that I was like, I was through the moon excited, but I was excited about the potential of what he could do. And then he did everything and more besides getting us to the Super Bowl that we hoped he would. So, yeah.
And who did he replace? Who was our quarterback the year before?
Versus Jackson.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we were in desperate need of somebody to control our offense at the time.
We were quarterback away.
Yeah.
And I was like you, Darin, too. I got excited pretty quickly. And I was like, this is I mean, I was convinced 7 games in, I was convinced he's going to retire in purple. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame in purple.
In purple, yeah. Just because he hated the Packers at that point too. Just knew he wanted to stick it to him.
It felt great. It just felt so great. And 98 with, I mean, Cunningham to Moss.
Just throttled everything.
On repeat.
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't get enough of it. Gary Anderson's shining moment.
Yeah.
But you know, at the time, what's funny is you look back, and at that time, I was like, well, we'll be here next year, and
Yeah.
then
Yes.
every year after that, and I think it was the year 2000. We got to the NFC Championship with Jeff George, I want to say,
Yeah.
and man, was I excited to watch that game against the Giants, and that just nothing,
We don't want to talk about that one.
Nothing.
41 donut.
and then
Yeah.
another 9 years away, we finally got that moment in with Favre, and anyways, yeah, the heartbreak. Now, what year was Minneapolis Miracle? Was that 17?
17. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and that was the NFC Championship that year felt more like the year 2000, where,
For sure.
but that was
Minus-
an exciting time too. And that year was different, in my opinion, because it just felt like we were overachieving a little bit
Yeah.
with
sure.
Case Keenum, and
Yep.
but man, what a fun run.
But after the miracle, it felt like destiny. Like, we're
Yeah.
like, of course, this is the year now, for sure.
Well, that was the year that we were
We
hosting
hosted-
the
Hosting
Super
the Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
Absolutely.
U.S. Bank was a brand new stadium. Like everything, the stars aligned for that to work out for the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl that year. But yeah, Nick Foles had a different thinking on that. So
See, I always say it's the pick six that turned it. We
Yeah, that's
stop
fair.
them, we go down and score, we stop them again, we're driving, and then Keenum throws the pick six. Like, that D was stingy that year, man. Like, driving 80 yards on that D is tough. So just giving them free points, then it just,
yeah,
floodgates
see, to
open.
me, it was the flea flicker right after half. Because even at halftime, I still feel like we had a shot to come back
Yeah.
and get in that game. But when that flea flicker hit to Alshon Jeffrey,
Yeah.
that was it for me. I think TJ, as we go into like emotionally invested, like that's the first time really like the weight of a game impacted me the next day. Was when we lost to Philly. Like I'm a school teacher, middle school teacher, and it was apparent to my students like something bad had happened in my life. Of course, they all know that I'm a giant Minnesota Vikings fan, so they come in screaming Eagles chants and how about them Eagles? And so, yeah, it was just a tough day in my classroom the day after that happened to the Vikings. So
Yeah, you put a movie on for the kids that day. Let's just
Absolutely.
actually, I
Yeah.
didn't. I just said sit in silence and read your books. Like I'm not even going to reward you for anything.
Yeah, it serves them
Sit and
right.
sulk.
You gotta take it out on somebody, right? And
Exactly, yep.
At least it wasn't your own family. You just, you
I couldn't do it to my kids. I couldn't do it to my wife, but my students, yeah, okay. I was bad.
Absolutely.
I was a bad teacher that day.
yeah, that's fine. You're owed one of those once in a while. Yeah, that's an interesting point. How the game affects you, especially the next day. And yeah, when you get blown out in the NFC Championship, it's certainly frustrating. But by halftime, you start to accept the fact, like, well, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
That's why I continue to go back to, that 98 year. But
Yeah.
And
mean-
09. I mean, 09, we're
And
at
09.
the third. We
Yeah.
have a 48-yard field goal to get to the Super Bowl at that point. Like, just run the ball at the gut 3 times and kick it. Like,
could I? Yeah, let me ask you guys a question too, and it relates to last night's Packers game. Sorry to timestamp us here. I
All
I
good.
don't know exactly
Yeah,
when
you're
we go live, but how much the game comes down to the kicker.
oh my
Absolutely.
gosh.
How are we feeling about that in 2026 here?
I mean,
It's insane how, I mean, again, for us right now, we have the greatest kicker in the league. So,
Will the
I guess
thrill.
I'm fine with it at this point. But,
Yeah, until we're in the NFC Championship and
Yeah.
we go wide left.
right.
not with Will the Thrill. He's different, TJ. He's
Just
different.
down the middle.
Hey,
He only
I
misses
love-
when he hits the wires.
I am comfortable with a nice, kind, stoic kicker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's who Will is. That's who
Absolutely.
I feel like that's who Fuad Revez was.
Fuad Rivez, that's a great name drop.
Let's go. Shout out. That is it right there. Way to drop that name right now.
My next door neighbor is he's a head coach at a smaller D3 college around here. And he talks about this sometimes, how kickers it's tough. It's like you've got all these, football players working their tails off all season long. And then a lot of time it just comes down to the guy who's there to kick the ball.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's
Yeah.
Like what I can't. I'm trying to think of like what's the equivalent in baseball of like a kicker.
maybe
like
like a closer.
Yeah,
Maybe. I mean, it's just you have one job as a kicker. I mean, one job out there on the field. Every other position has different roles, different responsibilities. I mean, a kicker's job, really, you have one thing you work on at practice every day.
Put your head down and make it. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So
So
it is interesting, even look at, 18, well, how far are we removed from the 98 game? My math here, 28 years.
26 years.
26 years, 28 years.
28 years. 28 years. Yeah, geez.
Just like, 28 years, and it still comes down to those dang field goals. Like, games still come down to those field goals. So, yeah, it's definitely, I don't think it's going to change in the next 28 years from now. It's always going to be an important position that we undervalue until it's valuable.
now, what was it? What cut you off there, Darin?
I was gonna say we paid our price though, like with the Gary Anderson miss, with Blair Walsh. We did our time with the bad kickers.
Aaron,
So
just
I think
just
we were
twisting
old
the
with
knife,
thrill.
on the Purple Dopes is today, dropping names like that on us. Jeez Louise, man.
Yeah, it hurts to say things like that, but it's good. Blair Walsh, what year was the Seattle?
15.
It was 10 years ago yesterday
Yeah.
was the game.
And that was another one where we liked that team. We really
Yeah.
did.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's interesting as we look at this last season. I like our team.
Same.
I really do. And you guys have probably analyzed this to death, but I really like our team. It's just such an interesting spot to be in where you like how that franchise quarterback is so important. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance in the whole team and coaching staff, but yeah, we went out and we got our guy, or so we thought, and maybe he will be our guy. How many games has he played total? 10,
10.
11?
Yeah.
Got 10. Yep.
Yeah, so I think you got to expect some ups and downs, and
I think
some
I think the hard part for Vikings fans was we were so sold at the beginning of the season that this was the year. I mean, we went out, paid for the offensive line. Everyone was saying JJ McCarthy's ready. He's the guy. I mean, Darin and I did our win projection at the beginning of the season, and we were 14 win team based on our predictions. And here we sit at 9 wins, which realistically we're probably not a 9-win team because our last 3 games were kind of against some JV squads. But I just think we were sold so highly that this was going to be the second coming of 98, the second coming of 2009, or third coming of 2009, and it didn't work out like that for us as Vikings fans. And I think that's the most disappointing part, was that it was this was it. This was supposed to be the team built for this season, and now we're like talking about next season is the team to build. So
When you don't know, I think that's the hard thing, is you still don't know with JJ McCarthy. Like I'm still buying JJ McCarthy stock, but you don't really know if he's got the goods right now. And I think more than anything, by the end of the year, we wanted to know that. And
yeah,
so he'll be back, and yeah.
Where do you sit, TJ, on the Vikings quarterback situation with JJ McCarthy?
Well, I mean, obviously, this is out of our control. It's too bad he couldn't play his rookie year, because then this last year could have looked a lot different. Give
For
the guy
sure.
a full season of prep
Yeah.
and learning stuff, and he's going to make every mistake. But to me, the reason I like him is because he's the kind of guy, not to say he hasn't made the same mistake twice, but he's the kind of guy that will lose sleep if he makes the same mistake twice. You can tell he cares. You can tell this is his life. And yeah, the dude's a dog. I don't know. I like that he lays his shoulder in and tries to get that extra
Absolutely.
yard. It's probably stupid, but I like that. He's
Then
like, he
talks
wants to
trash
win
after.
the games.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find the guys that are super gritty like him, like even, yeah. So I'm excited to see. I'm just hopeful he can really do it now. I think with O'Connell he can, and I hope he doesn't turn into what I'm fearful of Royce Lewis turning into on the Twin side, which is kind of getting plagued by injuries, you know?
Yep, 100%. And that's, at this point, like, that's the big knock on him, is he just can't stay on the field.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 4 injuries in his first 2 seasons. All have caused him to miss games. One of those missing the entirety of a season. At what point, in your opinion, do we got to move on from McCarthy, DJ?
Well, I think we need for sure at least one more full season out of him.
Yeah.
And then you can't give up on a guy, even looking into next year. He hasn't played a full season yet. So if 6 games in, if we're 3-3 and he's not looking sharp yet, I don't think we don't get to panic yet.
Yeah.
Maybe if we have like a below 500 year next year with him at the helm the whole season, then maybe we start to panic a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we get Kirk Cousins back on the phone. I don't know.
There's already talks.
Sounds like that's an option.
We don't got enough money for Kirk. He wants
That's
too
right.
much money.
Yeah, it is too. It's you look at some of these guys like JJ Jefferson, that is,
Yep.
and Hawk yeah. For their sakes, I'm hopeful we can figure it out. I'm a hopeful dope that we can figure this
Love
thing
it.
out.
Let's
and
go. That's
make
I mean,
a run.
that is it, man. I mean, that we cannot be Vikings fans and not have hopes dwelling within us. As
Absolutely.
negative and as toxic as we can be as Vikings fans, we always have that simmer of hope that next year is going to be our year. And so, who knows? Maybe it'll be our year next year.
That's how I feel every year. I have never ended a season, even in our worst seasons, I've never ended the year thinking, well, next year's nothing now.
Yeah.
I've always had that glimmer of hope. Like, you never know. You still got to put the guys out on the field. You still got to play the game. They're all
Absolutely.
professionals. You never know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like where we stand. The division's tough, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you look at the 1 year turnarounds of like the Bears, they were terrible last year. And look at them now. I mean, it's like 1 year makes a huge difference. So get a few guys
Look
in
at the
draft.
Panthers. Look at
Look
the
at the Panthers.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of teams right now that are sitting in the playoffs that who would have thought that they'd be there? Denver Broncos
Right.
are the number 1 seed.
Yeah. The Patriots. I mean, look at
Patriots
them.
are Patriots are a top seed. The
Yep.
Panthers are in the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of teams this year that are surprising us on this with these guys, these quarterbacks are really kind of making that turn in their second year, which we've been saying it that JJ McCarthy is a rookie year. This is his rookie year. So I think
Why
you're
not
right,
us?
TJ. I think you're right. I think that we really got to give him a shot at a full season. I just wonder if the organization with Kwesi and KOC are going to be willing to sit and wait for this thing to continue to ride, or if the pressure is going to get to him. I don't know. I haven't seen KOC under this amount of duress and stress since he's been our head coach. But I saw it a lot this season in press conferences where I just felt like he wasn't super comfortable with where we were sitting.
Yeah, I think it really shows how good we probably had it. Some of us didn't want to admit it, but when we did have Kirk and O'Connell, and we did have a really smooth thing going on.
Yeah.
But again, the kid's young. Here's the other thing. Kyle, you know this. I know this. The thing that aligns me and you, Kyle, and JJ McCarthy is that we all have little infants in our homes right now. The guy trying to play his first real season of football
You ain't
had a
wrong.
little baby. I mean, I don't know, man. I think next year he's going to be feeling great. He's going to show up to training camp completely. His kid's going to be sleeping better. His wife's going to be, a little less.
You do realize his wife's pregnant, right?
Again?
Yep.
All right, we're cooked.
Darren, is that breaking news? Are you being for real?
I swear I read that from
Dude,
multiple
JJ
sources.
is-
Oh, that would be like Irish twins. I mean,
I
we're
know,
talking.
that's what I'm saying. That JJ's a dog, man. Everywhere he goes, he's a dog.
I think they had their baby in September, so
Oh, wow.
that would be. They'd be getting to work, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so, man. They're trying to build it while they're young. They don't want to be like you and I, TJ, at 41, bringing up infants. They want to be at 41 in their retirement life. So I guess that's fair.
that's fine. I'm really happy for the McCarthys. I want the Vikings quarterback to not have kids until he's 41, though, so that he can focus on the game. But that's okay. No, that's fun.
I guess when in doubt, there's always Phillip Rivers, right? I mean, Phillip Rivers has got 11 kids. He'll always come onto a roster somewhere and
right.
and
Kyle,
represent them.
I've got a 13-year-old who really knows his sports, and he had no idea who Philip Rivers was. I was like, oh my goodness, is he that old? I didn't realize he's that old.
I was shocked. I mean, the names that if I would have written down a list of names of them to go get, Phillip
my
Rivers
gosh.
wouldn't even have scratched the pen. Yeah.
No.
That was crazy.
What a wild time. Well, as you look at the the Vikings moving into offseason, like what do you feel like are the top priorities for them and for their team? Like what direction do you feel like they need to head as far as their focus goes? Maybe draft, maybe free agency.
You guys, I think, are the experts there. I don't know. You ask me that question, and I start wondering, like, well, who's their lead chef? What kind of food are they eating? Is that something we should look at? What's the vibe? Who's the DJ in the locker room? Is that the problem? Maybe we need better vibes going into the games. I don't
Fair
know.
enough. Fair enough.
Um, yeah, I mean, we're gonna be losing a couple of guys, right? Potentially to
I think you
retirement
guys,
or what have you.
yeah, there'll be
And
some guys gone.
um, yeah, so I don't know. In terms of pieces, I want to hear what you guys have to say, and I know you've talked about it already in previous shows too.
Yeah.
But in terms of pieces, I want to hear what you have to say. I do think, I do think getting O'Connell in sync with McCarthy and getting McCarthy in sync with his team
For sure.
Absolutely.
is going to be super important. I don't know how to do that because I'm not like a football expert, but I think they need to hone in on that so that they come into week one feeling in sync, not like, okay, how do we got to figure things out now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Darin, you kind of always have a kind of eye ahead as far as the draft goes. I mean, where would you say the Vikings' top priority is when it comes to their 18th pick potentially, unless they kind of shake things around?
Yeah, I'm looking. I mean, defensive back for sure.
Yeah.
Safety, with Harrison Smith retaring, probably need a corner help as well.
Yeah.
Probably need a center. I don't think Ryan Kelly. I hope he doesn't play 4 concussions this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Just call it,
and
dude.
maybe what's that? Yeah,
I said, just call it, Ryan.
man.
Like it's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've
And
done
then
your
I don't know,
time.
our tackles were hurt so often this year. It feels like having a little more depth, just like later on guy, get a swing tackle out there that can play both spots. But I like our linebacking room. I like our defensive line. Maybe get a little more depth on the D line. But yeah, definitely defensive back and offensive line got to be targets.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the secondaries is got to be the priority for us.
Yeah.
I mean, also like what's going to happen with Brian Flores, I think, is going to play a key role in what decisions we make for our defense.
Absolutely.
With Brian Flores, potentially interviewing with a couple teams this week. I think the Ravens have called. I know the Raiders have been on the radar the whole time.
Raiders
So
and Tom Brady.
um,
Yep.
I heard something, and I don't know if you guys heard it. Like Tuesday is actually like the end of his contract, and so
Yeah.
if anyone gets hired, if he gets hired before his contract's over, we get compensatory picks. Did you hear that, Darin?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so we would get comp picks. So
Yeah.
I think the way it works is if you lose a top, like a coordinator who's a minority coach, then you get like a 1 or 2 third-round comp picks.
Okay.
But since his contract's up, I don't actually know how that works.
Yeah, so I was reading about it online yesterday or this morning where it was like if he waits until after Tuesday, technically he's no longer an employee of the Vikings. And so none of that matters as far as those picks coming our way. So
If you're Flo, I'm not doing him any favors if you're not coming back. So
yeah, very true, very true. So yeah, so I think firming up the plan for the defensive coordinator, if that is Flores, allowing him to kind of speak to what the biggest needs are. But
for sure.
man, that offensive line was so rough this year. The different combinations that we had and the guys that we were bringing in really were not sufficient replacements. They were just
There's no
guys that we
depth.
put out there.
Yeah.
Yes, we've talked at length about Mr. Jurgens. So and so I just think making sure we got solid backups, and then I'm all for bringing in a veteran quarterback to compete with JJ in camp. I'm not saying he's going to be the guy to replace him, but I'm just saying we need some competition. We need JJ to really prove something, in the offseason as far as he wants to be the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. So I know there's some different names out there. I'm not a Carson Wentz guy. I think Carson Wentz is a good veteran, but I think a guy who's really going to push him, in the offseason as far as competition goes. Maybe not realistically going to be it, but a guy who's going to push him like he could be it. So, yeah.
My thoughts on the quarterback are you really have to either I'm with you, bring someone in. I don't want to trade for someone unless it's like a splash trade. If we're going to trade for Lamar Jackson, fine, let's go all in and get him.
Yeah.
But I want to trade for like Mac Jones and give up like a 2nd-round pick.
Agreed.
And it's like, that doesn't do much for me. I'd rather, if Cousins is available, or I don't know who else will be, but That's kind of my thoughts.
I think we
Sorry,
go.
I think
I think we follow the trend. So if Philip Rivers got the call, maybe maybe Romo wants to throw a jersey back on.
Why not? Why not? Right?
Throw a
Give it a shot.
Favre in there. Yeah, throw a You name your name. Throw Matt Leinart in there. I don't know.
Matt Leinart.
Matt Leinart. There we go. Let's go. Go get him.
I agree with you about the offensive line. It's exhausting as a Vikings fan, fearing for your quarterback's life 3 out of 4 downs.
Absolutely.
We need the we need the Todd Stussies of the world back protecting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know you said you had a 13-year-old that was like super into sports right now. Like, do you push your Vikings fandom on your kids?
No. And yes, but yeah, no, when you're born in Minnesota, you inherit your parents. And so, this is the rough part about my neighborhood here. You guys can be my therapists for a moment, because right next door to me,
hour.
Thank you. I've got Chicago Bears fans and Packers fans in the same house right next to me.
Oh, brutal.
Okay, next to them, I have more Packers fans. Let's see, down the street, more Packers fans. So the thing is, like, you're kind of surrounded by people who were like born and raised in Wisconsin, then they came to Minnesota because it's a far superior state to live in.
Absolutely.
But they still bring their banners with them. Yeah. So my son, he's definitely a big Minnesota sports fan for sure. He loves. Oh, let's see. He liked JJ a lot this year. He's obviously a big Jefferson fan, Addison fan, and I mean, whoever's rolling let's see. We got to meet just kind of randomly Gritty, who I didn't even know this, but Gritty's like an artist, like a rapper, performing artist, yada, yada, who I think like went to college or knew Jefferson back in the day. In LSU.
I think it was Jamar Chase's like buddy at LSU, and Jefferson met him through Chase or something like that.
Gotcha. That's what it was. So my son, this is a couple years back now, but he just loved doing the Gritty. That's what all the boys did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And then so he got to meet the actual Gritty, and we had to like explain to him what that even meant. But then, so I've got this video of my son at the time, who was 11, with the real Gritty doing the Gritty. And I was like, this is legit. Dude, yes. Vikings fan for life. And then he made me do the Gritty. And I could tell I was getting old. I was like 39, and Gritty looked at me like I was an 82-year-old. He's like, he's like, maybe next time you'll do it better. I don't know. Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's Darin, cool. Your two boys, Vikings fans, are they in or are they out?
Oldest is diehard. He, after last year's run and then disappointment, not getting in the playoffs was really foreign to him. I'm like, well, this happened. So that was his first real experience into that realm. The youngest, he's the antagonist. He was a Packer fan for pretty much the whole season. And then I think he realized Dad just stopped caring. I was like, because I used to get on his case about it, and then I stopped caring.
He was sleeping outside, right? I mean,
of course,
not allowed in the house. So
that's right. Yeah. So he's probably in the last month or so he's swapped back to the Vikings. So he's on the bandwagon. I always tell him, like, you don't get to go to games if you're not a fan. So
yeah. No, I mean, my boys jump back and forth. I think they're in, but they definitely play that like based on players that they like. Yeah. But TJ, I did take my three boys and me, solo to the Vikings Seahawks game this year, hoping that this would be the time that my boys see the Vikings, they buy in, and the Vikings put up their 0-point performance. So that was that did not bode well for me as far as getting them on board on the Vikings train. So
12th man.
Really
yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard when you can't find a point. It makes it difficult.
It was a tough one, I tell you. It was a tough one to watch as a Vikings fan, but even tougher as a father, hoping his boys would buy into the Vikings. So we were in all our Vikings gear though, and the Seahawks fans were very gracious. So thankful.
Well, that's nice of them to take it easy on you, Darin. That's so funny. My good buddy Landon, he's got 3 boys, and it's his second. No one's from Wisconsin in his family or anything, but his second just decided, I'm going to be a Packers fan. I think that's what the second kids do. They just go against the grain, just to see what your reaction's going to be.
I think you're exactly right. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, man, I know that, you got this like amazing content that you created, super family friendly. My boys love it. But the birth order of your firstborn, secondborn, third, or firstborn, middle child, thirdborn, what would you think the response of the three in the order would be on this Viking season? How do you think they would respond to it?
Yes. Okay. I gave this a little bit of thought before I came on. Here's the way I see it. Um, an oldest child tends to be pretty analytical, loves the numbers, loves the stats, backs things up with facts, plays by the rules. Because that's kind of what we did as parents when they were like they were on the schedule.
Yep.
I did everything
kid,
by
you
the book.
try your
Like
hardest
the little car seat like latch thing was at the perfect spot on their chest. So, anyways, I think the oldest looks back at the season like a head coach. Honest. That we saw some good things. There's some things to celebrate this year. But we obviously had some moments that we underperformed. We made mistakes. We dealt with some adversity. So now I'm starting to sound like Kevin O'Connell in the locker room, but I'd be shouting. But yeah, just looking at it like through the head coach's lens, but I also want to keep my job. So I'm going to try to just put a positive spin on everything and make sure everybody's happy, right?
Yeah, fair.
That's kind of the oldest. I think the middle is just more of your adventurous and emotional person who's just like, takes life as for the joys, the ups and downs that it is. So that's kind of how I am. So I would say we look at it as a fan, and that is just thank you, Vikings, for another fun season. Yet, how dare you put us through that?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that again. And then we'll be the first ones in line to do it again.
Yes.
And then I think the youngest are a lot of times kind of your smart, savvy. They really know how to cut the corners, but they win people over in the process. The youngest do not want to work for anybody else when they get older. So while the oldest become teachers and the middles have some weird, different job, the youngest become entrepreneurs or they'll end up in jail, one or the other. So I think the youngest end up reviewing the season like a general manager. Just very much like I'm in charge here.
Yeah.
I'll take some responsibility, but really I'm going to kind of like point my fingers a little bit too and like make some moves, to try to disguise all of my shortcomings. So I think the youngest is like right now heading into the off season thinking, okay, I can fix this. I'm going to try to fix this.
Yeah.
But if I don't, it's not my fault.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. Spot on. Well, hey, TJ, we always finish our Purple Dopes with Hopes episode with our Purple Dopes Hopes. These are presented by 612Tees, a great Minnesota-based apparel company. Get some awesome T-shirts. Purple Dopes 25 gets you 25% off your first order. TJ, we're going to throw the Purple Dope Hope to you. What hopes do you have for our Minnesota Vikings as we move forward to the offseason, in the next season? Can be any sort of hopes that you have as far as the Minnesota Vikings go.
Love it. Number one, we have the best kicker in the league. Okay. So I'm feeling great about that. And you know what? We laugh, but guess what? As we've already discussed, our season it'll be made or broken by that of the kicker. Next year, I think Will is going to have some moments that we're like, thank goodness we have him and we're moving on.
Yes. We're ready for those.
And then number two, we've got the core, we've got the talent, we've got the legacy, and we've got a hungry fan base. That's the good news. We're not, unlike the Minnesota Twins a couple years ago, we're not announcing that we're cutting all this payroll and we're taking steps back and our owners don't really care. The Vikings are different, man. We do care.
Absolutely.
We've got the fans. We've got the energy. We've also got Midwest nice. So we're not like Chicago and New York fans where we're trashing our quarterback. We will, but not to that extent. We'll always put our arms out. JJ, you're our guy.
For sure.
Lead us.
Yeah.
Next year is going to be different, man. I expect 1 year from now to be listening to you guys talk about our triumphant week one in the playoffs if we don't get the bye.
Let's go. I love it. I love it. Oh, man, TJ, this has been so fun, man. I really appreciate you coming on and being a part of the Purple Dopes. If you would just take a minute, remind people where they can find you, your social medias, all that stuff. How can we find you to get more of your takes on the world, family comedy, and just all the goodness that you bring, man?
Well, I make videos. You can find them on all the platforms. TJ Therrien. I should have a more creative name, but that's just it. It's my first and last name. Thank you guys for having me on. More importantly, Purple Hopes with Dopes. I mean, you're going to get us through this off season. I'm pumped to see what the future is for you guys, for our Vikes.
Yes.
And I look forward to the next time that we can talk Vikings. So thanks for having me on. Fun stuff.
Appreciate you coming, man. This was super fun.
Yeah. All right, friends. Make sure you subscribe to the Purple Dopes if you're finding us on YouTube, as well as follow us on all our social media or on our podcast platforms. Darin, we're going to finish it like we always finish it, man. We Skol, you Skol, we all Skol together. We'll see you guys soon.
Skol.